kinds of examples that I've seen.
So, in my reaction to what I see in the literalness of what you're choosing to take pictures of, and it's quite interesting. Some of them right away look around the room and know what they want to shoot pictures of. I don't know how they come to that. So maybe I shouldn't be shocked by the literalness.
You should ask them about it.
Oh, part of the assignment, yeah, I understand that part. But part of the assignment was, it's like, I describe it to them, if you take the picture as if it's a work of art, and if you have to explain to me a Picasso, then the artist missed the point with thinking it. So it's what I say to them is, if you have to explain why you took that picture, because they want to make it a diagram, they want to illustrate all the parts, and so I'm trying to get at some magnitude there by asking them to not have to explain it, that it should be.
And it should be, I would expect it to be very literal. That's right.
Because even in Picasso, I mean, it's open for interpretation, but then there's also these critics who have told us what it is and what it should be. Because with what I do is, as I keep going through all of this, something similar where, or not similar at all, where I'll ask them to take like a character from a children's novel and create a visual image, of course, based on textual clues and what they envision this character to be, and then they need to write. This last one we had a character, they had to create a visual character, but they also had to create some other text as far as had to find a poem that they felt that would be related to that character, and just even things like their birthday, that even though there's some things, some of those things were never in the text, but then I always have them write a reflection, and a reflection is about their process, their decision making. One of the things I have to do is make a little icon, what's the icon for that character. But I'm torn with this too, because I want the visual image to speak for itself, but I need them to give me the words to help me understand it. And so and not just tell me what it is, but tell me what the process is they went through to make those decisions. Because prior to that, we always go through a whole thing about, we were talking about this yesterday, but talking about color and space and negative space and perspective and all those types of things. So then they write a reflection telling me how they made the decisions that they did. If they leave any white space, why was there any white space left in this? But I'm kind of like you, Ken. Now I have all these amazing, amazing visual images and this great text and these wonderful reflections, and I sit down and I think, now do I put my interpretation on all of these, or what do I do with this? Because it's so powerful. Amy just did this with her class as well, and they're so amazing. But now I need to try to explain this, and I don't know really what to do with that.
Well, in the case of these three-dimensional cell things, when they came back, the teacher was just like you, amazed, sort of bowled over, and didn't know what to do with them. But took them up to the headmaster, or rather called the headmaster down. Look at these amazing things. I think it's the case we haven't got the tools for a real assessment. I think we have to shape the tools. And the first stage in shaping the tools is to sort of say they did something and it's significant. It's up to me to find significance. I mean, another girl had a very smooth pebble in a box. That's the nucleus. And again, it's a smooth pebble. Well, it's heavy and it's kind of had a lot of work on it, and it says significant in that way. So it's not that they have to be sort of always, or in any way at all, the same kinds of meanings that they've drawn from something, but they have drawn meanings, so it's up to us in a sense to find the tools whereby we can assess these meanings. That's for me the big task.
Did you figure it out? Well, I was thinking what Ken said too about Picasso, and and I said a critic will tell us what that means, and it's this particular children's book that we use also happens to have a movie that was made about it. And so those students who have seen the movie, it pretty much shut down their creative process for the most part because they already had this visual image in their mind. And so that's also to me a really important part of this process, partly because they're trying to recreate that visual image, and often it's really difficult. And there's also that difficulty too when they translating this visual image up here to this down here, because then it becomes this, they always preface, whenever they share these, they always preface, I'm not an artist.
Sure.
And it's like, oh, it's not about art, you know, and I keep trying to do that too. And it's just, so there's all these different pieces and aspects of this that is kind of make it really difficult.
Well, it's unusual, and I think that's, I think it's possible. But I think one needs to sort of say everything there means. And, I mean, mental models, when I drive in London, I don't talk to myself in the sense of, I talk to myself, yes, of course, but I don't talk to myself like next one left or 100 yards ahead, bend to the right. I mean, I have an embodied sense of where I am and where I'm going. And that's come from moving through that space many times. And I don't know how it's actually kind of recorded here, but I know, and actually when I try to sort of overtly think about it sometimes, I get into trouble. I just sort of think, I'll know where to go. So I think these models do have other than verbal representations, or rather some have verbal representations and some have other than verbal representations. That's my... But in those terms, one just has to look very closely at how big is it, how colourful is it, where is it placed in relation to something else. In a way, you read a literary text really carefully.
Well, yesterday you said that image representation calls for us imposing our own meanings on it. What are the meanings that we come to based on this image that's represented?
I mean, you can't do anything else but that.
Right.
Yeah. And that's the same, I mean, that's the same with the written account. It's not as though language is secure and these others are insecure. I mean, that's the other thing that I struggle against. People think that the written account or the spoken account is secure. I know what you meant, but you can say, well, actually, excuse me, but I didn't mean that at all. I mean, how many kind of in sort of relationships, how many arguments are there around? You know, I know what you mean by that. Don't tell me what I mean.
Tomorrow, because of different experiences, you know something different. Be interesting to see if they did those photographs and they share them and they talk about them and then they do it again or something. Or something of concept.
So now regarding these things, researching them, trying to look at what, with respect to the science content knowledge, there's affordances based upon the medium, but then there's the interaction with the content knowledge and expressing what comes out of the medium. So trying to get at what's there, not just so affordances with content sort of idea. And when I talk about literal, I've seen people that have photosynthesis as a concept, and I get images that are pictures of the elements of the chemical equation, basic chemical equation for photosynthesis.